Good morning, boys and girls. It's 10:30, and I've already got my hat on. I don't know what kind of hat this is, but there's a lot of room up here. You know, it's not a baker's cap. It might be a welder's cap. I don't know. I could have, well, if I wait 4 or 5 months and don't get a haircut, I might need all that room up there for all the hair that I might have. So, but if I mash it down there, maybe it looks a little more real, looks better like that. I don't know. Well, hey, I wanted to talk to you about, there's a Bible verse in James chapter 4, verse 17 says this. To him that knows to do the right thing and does it not, to him it is sin. And so that verse tells us in just everyday language, that means if you know what you're supposed to do and you don't do what you know you're supposed to do, then you've done the wrong thing. Sometimes we get with our buddies, our friends, and they want to do something they want to do something, but we know in our hearts and in our minds that is not the right thing to do. But sometimes our buddies talk us into doing things. And we know the whole time we're involved in it, this isn't right. And, when we get in trouble for it, you can't blame your friends. Because it was you. It was on you. It was your choice. Now, if you surround yourself with people that are making bad choices all the time and doing bad things, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for trouble. That's why in another spot the Bible says, the companion of fools shall be destroyed. See, God recognizes, He knows that sometimes when we get around other people, their influence, it's called peer pressure. Oh, come on. And maybe they say something, oh, you big baby, you're a sissy, you're a mama's boy, come on. And because you hear them saying that, you finally say, okay, I'll do it. Let me tell you a story about what I did when I was a young teenager. I was about 14, I think. We were at church. It must have been a Sunday night or a Wednesday night. And during church service, we didn't realize it, but during church, it had snowed, really snowed. It wasn't snowing when we went in, but boy, when church let out and we walked towards the doors, the big glass doors, we saw nothing but a white blanket of snow out there in the parking lot and on the sidewalk at the church. And myself and, I don't know, half a dozen other boys from the church, we all went outside. You know what boys do. We were making snowballs and having a little bit of a snowball fight and a snowball battle right in front of the church. And when people would come out, we'd stop and let the people kind of walk towards their vehicles. And then once they were out of the way, man, we were firing snowballs back and forth at everyone. And there was a man in our church that was the head deacon. And every time he came to church, he was dressed in his suit, in his white shirt, and his tie. He always wore a black dress hat. And if it were winter time, and it was winter time because it was snowing, he'd have a black overcoat on. And he always was a serious fella. He dressed serious. He talked serious. He was a serious-minded fella. And we were in the middle of our snowball fight, and he come walking out. And he always parked his vehicle out across the parking lot. Oh, I never asked him, but probably because he didn't want another car door opened into the side of his vehicle. He was very serious-minded. And so when he came walking out of the church, all the snowball throwing, all that stopped. We just kind of looked at him, and he never said anything. I didn't see him smile a whole lot, and he just walked down the sidewalk and started out across the parking lot. He got a little ways away from us across the parking lot, and somebody in our little group, I don't know who it was, but somebody said, I dare you to throw a snowball at him. Everybody kind of snickered, and there was a few more dares, and I remember I was packing a snowball, and Mr. Serious Man was walking even further. He was now out almost to his vehicle. Long ways across the parking lot. And there were some lights in the parking lot, so we could see him out there walking towards his vehicle. And everybody, oh, you're a chicken. You're afraid. You couldn't hit it. And I took that packed snowball and I wound up and I threw that thing as hard as I could. And when it left my hand, I started to have this strange feeling, oh no, that's perfect. And I watched that snowball sail up in the air into the dark sky, and it went across the parking lot, and it came down, and Mr. Serious was just walking along. He didn't know what the little white missile was headed for him. And that snowball came down out of the sky, and I had this sick feeling inside of me already. And that snowball hit him right in the back of the head. It knocked his black cap off. It exploded. That snow went everywhere. Didn't knock him down, but Mr. Serious, he never missed a beat. He just, instead of walking on towards his car, he just kind of turned and walked back towards the church. And all us boys, we just kind of stood frozen, looking at him. Oh no, we're in trouble. And he never said a word. He came in on the church sidewalk and he walked past all of us, opened the church door, and went on inside. And when I got home later, I was in trouble. I think I was about 14, but I think I got a whipping for throwing a snowball at Mr. Serious. I don't know how he knew who did it. But he must have talked to my dad. Maybe he talked to all the dads. I don't know. But I was in trouble. I remember that I'm 60 now, and I was about 14. So that's, about 46 years ago? That I knew I had done the wrong thing. See, that verse again said, to him that knows to do the right thing and does it not, to him it is sin. When I took that snowball and I wound up and I threw that snowball, that was the wrong thing, and I knew it was the wrong thing. And as soon as it left my hand, it was too late. I couldn't take it back. So, be careful what you do. You can't take things back. You just got to make sure you're doing the right thing. If you know what the right thing to do is, do it. Remember the little song we've been singing? Obedience is the very best way to show that you believe. Doing exactly what the Lord commands, doing it happily. Action is the key, do it immediately. The joy you will receive. Obedience is the very best way to show that you believe. O-B-E-D-I-E-N-C-E. Obedience is the very best way to show that you believe. Be obedient today. And don't throw any snowballs.